All right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I'm going to be showing off my Brandon Sanderson book collection. Now, I will admit, the collection isn't complete. I do not collect everything Brandon Sanderson writes. I don't collect his young adult stuff because I'm an adult and I'm not interested in a lot of young adult fiction. There's very few authors I collect their, I love J.K. Rowling, got her stuff. I love Lloyd Alexander, got his stuff. I got the Redwall series, I guess you could consider Christopher Paolini's Aragon series, young adult. Those are about it. That's about it. I got like a handful. Anyway, so some of you are going to be like, well, I've got a better Brandon Sanderson collection than Durfee does. Well, are all of your Brandon Sandersons signed like mine are, though? That's the thing. So before we get into the collection, let me tell you something. I live near Brandon Sanderson here in Utah. I know the guy. I've sat on many writing panels with him at many different Comic-Cons. And I'll tell you, the very first Comic-Con that I sat on a writing panel with him, I mentioned to the audience that not only was I a writer, but I also worked at the Utah State Prison, and that I ran, at the time, this is at the time, I don't do this anymore, I teach life skills at the prison now, but back then, I used to run all 6 libraries at the Utah State Prison. And as soon as I mentioned that, Brandon Sanderson volunteered to donate boxes and boxes of his novels to my prison libraries. And I was like, man, he did that of his own volition. I didn't even ask. So right off the bat, let's just give Brandon Sanderson props for being just a really generous and cool dude. Let's get to the collection, though, now. Let's start with the Robert Jordan stuff. Let's start with where I first started reading Brandon Sanderson, I will admit, was when he took over the Robert Jordan books, or the Wheel of Time series. Now you can see that I've got that signed by Brandon Sanderson there. And also, I think all 3 of them are signed, if I'm not mistaken. So that one's signed. So we got the hardcovers, first edition hardcovers. I was a huge Wheel of Time fan. I was excited to know that once Robert Jordan died, which was sad, that we had another author that was going to finish out the series. And Brandon Sanderson did a fantastic job of that. I think he really, really nailed the ending. Perfect. We're going to put these back on the shelf where they belong. So I took them off the shelf, but as I go through them, we will restack them where they belong. Then, after I read, I think it was The Gathering Storm I read. I think that was the first Brandon Sanderson I read. And then I went out and bought the original Mistborn trilogy. Got all of these first edition hardcovers. Also, all signed by my good friend, Brandon Sanderson. Another hardcover, I love this. I love the original artwork, too. Let's take a moment and kind of critique the artwork. These were done by, doesn't say here. Oh, there we go. Jacket art by John Foster. Yeah, I really like this set of original artwork that was on the original Mistborn books. Because then they for the Mistborn series, they kind of moved to this one. This is the guy that does the Dresden Files anyway. We'll go through that, but let's see, yeah. All of them signed again. So we'll put those, Well of Ascension, showed you that one. We'll put those down here on the shelf. Yeah, you can kind of see the shelf down there. And then, of course, I went ahead and got Elantris. I remember back before this was even published, I met Brandon Sanderson at a Dave Wolverton or Dave Farland writing advice conference that he gave back at Conduit in Salt Lake City, maybe in 2003 or 2004. And Brandon Sanderson, before he was published, or before either of us was published, we're both published now, but before either of us was published, I met Brandon Sanderson at that conference in 2003-ish, and he announced that he had got a book deal with Tor, and that Elantris was going to be his first book come out. And so I did buy a copy when it did come out. I just honestly didn't read it until after I had read... I had it in my collection, but didn't read it until after I had read the Robert Jordan stuff and the Mistborn stuff. But then I did eventually read it. I remember, though, when he announced to the group, the writing group, that he had a book deal, everybody was like, oh, we're jealous. We're jealous, yeah. Because we were all wanting writing deals at that point, you know. And then the Oathbreaker... Let's see, what this cover, we didn't go over the cover. Cover done by Stephen Martineri. Very, very, very awesome cover. Gosh, I hope I got... I just pulled that off the top of my head. Yes, I was right. Stephen Martineri, one of the great illustrators. Very slick looking book. This one, Warbreaker. I got a hardcover of this one too. Again, signed by my good friend Brandon Sanderson. This artwork, I think, was done by Daniel Dos Santos. Yeah, Daniel Dos Santos did a great cover there. We'll put these over here. And then we will look at the Cosmere. Cosmere, yeah, you know, everything that Brandon writes is pretty much... I guess the best way to explain it would be... set in a solar system worth of planets, where each fantasy story takes place on a different planet or some such, and but they're all tied to the same universe. I probably did a shit job of describing that. Oh, I don't have... This one has never been signed by Sanderson. I guess we don't have a signed one here. David Palumbo. David Palumbo did the artwork on that. Good job, David. Now let's talk about this other sort of spin-off series of the... these are kind of young adultish themselves. It's a spin-off series of the Mistborn series. Alloys of Law. Got all those in hardcover. And these have the... and I do have all of these signed. I'll just show you one of them. I do have the whole trilogy signed to me by Brandon Sanderson. And then the artwork was done by Chris McGrath, who did all of the Dresden Files. Got a very, very unique style. Very awesome. Can't go wrong with this guy. He does some dope covers. So we'll give... let's see. I don't know which one is first. I think it was Alloy of Law. We'll just put them back in whatever order. It doesn't matter. Now we're going to get to the coup de grace. My favorite series, one of my top 5 favorite fantasy series of all time, is the Stormlight Archives. And we got first edition hardcovers of these. Actually, I probably should have showed you. I've got paperbacks. I've got mass market paperbacks of all these also. Plus, I've got them all on audible.com. Michael Whelan painting. My favorite fantasy illustrator, Michael Whelan. Can't go wrong with a Michael Whelan painting. Again, my buddy signed it to me. Michael Whelan. Let's put this one back down here on a shelf. Then we've got Words of Radiance, another great Michael Whelan painting. Another hardcover, first edition. And I do believe this one was signed over to me too. Maybe not. Yes! Another Michael Whelan painting. Great, great. I love these books. I think that the Way of Kings and the Stormlight Archives series, the future of fantasy right here. The future of fantasy. This is the direction fantasy will be going. I mean, Brandon Sanderson is the king of fantasy right now. Oathbringer, signed. Another spectacular Michael Whelan painting. And then last but not least, Rhythm of War. I know for a fact this one isn't signed because COVID shut everything down. And I have just, us authors for the last year and a half just haven't been getting together at the conventions like we used to. Otherwise, this one would be signed. And just the artwork on the inside. I mean, these things are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful books. You know, let's give a shout out to Tor Books for taking the time to put together such magnificent books with all of the great artwork that they've got in these things. Just magnificent. So that is my Brandon Sanderson collection. We've pretty much got his standalone novels down here. We've got his standalone novels, Elantris, Warbreaker. Then we've got the Mistborn series, the first trilogy and then the second trilogy. And then we've got the 4 books in the Stormlight Archives. And that's it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Brandon Sanderson books in my collection. All first edition hardcovers. I also have all of these books in mass market paperback in my, well, you know what? I'll run and grab... And I'm back, just so you didn't think I was lying. I hurried and grabbed 2 from the other room. But I've got all of his stuff in mass market paperback also. And actually, when I read them, so I don't screw up my hardcovers, I actually read the mass markets. Or listen to the Audible. Anyway, that is my Brandon Sanderson collection.